Hello everyone, welcome to our online platform of Aakar Foundation. Today is fourth session of our concept talk series. In today's session, we are going to discuss on three topics. First one is SC, that is Supreme Court issues Pan India Road Safety Direction. Second topic is Advanced 3D Semiconductor Packaging Unit. And third is Constitution 131st Amendment Bill 2026. So let's start with first topic, that is Supreme Court issues Pan India Road Safety Direction. The Supreme Court recent intervention regarding road safety is a landmark development as it fundamentally elevates commuter safety to a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution. What triggers this? A suo motu case initiated following systematic infrastructure failures that caused 34 deaths in successive accidents in Rajasthan and Telangana in November 2025. The Supreme Court bench, which consists of Justice J.K. Maheshwari and A.S. Chandrukar, moved road safety from a policy ambition to a constitutional mandate, as the core observation was that the national highways constitute only 2% of India's road length but account for nearly 30% of all fatalities. The court evokes Article 21, which says that our right to life or dignity, and Article 142, the court's extraordinary power to ensure complete justice, declaring that no administrative or pecuniary constraint can justify the loss of human life. This is the overall context of this discussion behind the road safety direction, Pan India. The court issues Pan India Interim Direction, which consists of 13 points mandatory blueprint with strict timeline for compliance. The timeline is within 60 days. Under infrastructure and land use terms, the directions are first encroachment removals, that is mandatory demolition of all unauthorized dhabas, shops and structures within the right of way of highways within 60 days. Second, licensing freeze, that means no new business license or trade approval within highway safety zones without prior approval or clearance from National Highway Authority of India or PWD. And third is black spot rectification, that is authorities must identify accident prone black spot within 45 days and fix them. Lightning barriers redesign within 4 months. Next, under enforcement and technological term, first is absolute parking ban. There will be the strict prohibition of heavy or commercial vehicles parking on highway, shoulders or carriageway. Second, ATMs integration. ATMs means advanced traffic management system, that is use of advanced management traffic systems like AI based cameras, GPS timestamp photos and real-time e-challenge to enforce rules without manual bias. And third is LED headlight control. Supreme Court give the direction to Ministry of Road Transport and Highways to set maximum luminance for LED highlights and ban unauthorized blinding, strobe lights or hooters. Okay. Next, in terms of emergency and drivers' welfare, first is golden hour infrastructure. Under this, it mandated basic life support ambulance and recovery cranes at every 75 kilometers interval, and provide rest facilities. It makes it mandatory construction of trucks, lay bays and waysides amenities like food, washroom, first aid to combat drivers' fatigue. Okay. Then the key strategic analysis, which this point you should note, which will helpful you make you helpful in mains answer writing. The first one is the 4 E's framework for road safety. The 4 E's stands for engineering, enforcement, education, and emergency care. For engineering, it comes as focus on forgiving infrastructure. That means road design to minimize the impact of human error. Second, enforcement. That is shifting to AI-led system like the 5 strike rules, where 5 violations result in license cancellation. Third is education. Under education, awareness of good Samaritan laws and the 2026 theme, that is Sadak Suraksha Jivan Raksha. And fourth, emergency care, that is ensuring medical intervention within the first 60 minutes, that is within 1 hour, that which is known as golden hour, must be provided. Okay. Now, under governance and federalism, first comes accountability. The Supreme Court placed joint responsibility on the district magistrate and superintendent of police, that is DM and SP. Every district must form a district highway safety task force. In terms of fiscal argument, the court held that pecuniary or administrative constraint cannot be used as an excuse by the state to avoid safety upgrades. And in terms of economic impact, road accident currently cost India approximately 3 to 5% of its GDP. Efficient safety measures are a boost to human capital and national productivity. Okay. Now, the summary of this discussion is key features is first, apex body. What are the apex bodies? District Highway Safety Task Force, which comes under DM, that is District Magistrate, and SP, Superintendent of Police. In terms of constitutional basis, Article 21, safety recognized as a fundamental right. Right of way policy, 60 days delay to clear all illegal encroachment. In terms of technical point of view, ATMs, that is advanced traffic management systems, using AI cameras and GPS tagged and challans, and the response times, that is ambulance or cranes within every 75-kilometer interval, and the target of this action is that reduce national highway fatality contribution, which is currently 30%. Okay. Now let's discuss on second topic, that is advanced 3D semiconductor packaging unit. The recent push for an advanced 3D semiconductor packaging unit in India, specifically with major approval in early 2026, is a critical component of the India's semiconductor mission, that is ISF. This represents a shift from silicon to solutions, moving India beyond simple assembling into high-end technology manufacturing. So, what is advanced 3D packaging? The traditional packaging involves placing a single chip on a carrier and connecting it to a circuit board. 3D packaging involves stacking multiple integrated circuit, that is ICs, vertically, not horizontally. Okay. In 3D packaging, vertical integration is done. The chips are stacked on top of each other rather than being spread out horizontally. Through silicon wires, these are vertical electrical connection with the help of tiny copper pillars that pass completely through a silicon wafer, allowing for the shortest possible path for a data. And third is heterogeneous integration, which means different types of chips like logic, memories, and sensors made with different processes can be combined into a single package. Okay. So, why the shift to 3D? First, overcoming Moore's law. As it becomes harder and more expensive to shrink transistors further, 3D stacking allows for increased performance without needing smaller transistors. Second, power efficiency. Shorter distance between stacked components means less power to lost as heat, which is vital for smartphones and electric vehicles. Third, form factors. It significantly reduces the physical footprints of the chip, essential for wearable techs like smartwatches, mobiles, and etc., Bluetooth, and high density AI servers. Fourth, high bandwidth memory. 3D packaging is the only way to create the ultra fast memory required for artificial intelligence and deep learning applications. Okay. Now, the Indian context, let's see in terms of Indian context, that is 2025 to 2026 year duration. The government of India has approved massive investment for ATMPs, that is assembly, testing, marking and packaging, and OSAT, that is outsourced semiconductor assembly and test units. The major key projects under this India's mission, semiconductor mission, is that first, Tata Electronics and Kane Semicon leading the charge in establishing units in Gujarat and Assam. CG Power and Renesas focusing on specialized 3D packaging for power electronics and automotive sectors. And the third is the Assam unit, notable for being India's first large-scale advanced packaging plant outside the traditional tech hubs. And where the government is supporting for like the schemes are SPECS schemes, which is the scheme for promotion of manufacturing of electronics components and semiconductors, and second is design linked incentives, DLIs, that is providing financial support for domestic chip design, which fits into this packaging unit. Now, the establishment of advanced 3D packaging units marks India's transition from a consumer of electronics to a critical node in the global semiconductor supply chain. While India is still developing its fab, that is foundry capabilities, mastering advanced packaging allows the country to immediately participate in the AI and 5G hardware revolution. So, please take the note of this mnemonics, which will help you to recall the significance of this 3D packaging. That is, mnemonics is PEST, which stands for P for performance, that is higher speed, E efficiency, which means lower power, S smaller space, that is small size, and T for technological sovereignty, which will reduce imports. Okay. So let's take the key takeaways from this discussion in terms of technical and socio-economic terms. First, in terms of technical term, TSVs, that is through silicon wires, the core technology enabling 3D stacking. Second, system in package, SIPs, that means multiple chips in one package, distinct from system on chip. Third is thermal management. The biggest challenge is 3D packaging due to heat trap between stacked layers. Okay. In terms of social and economic terms, first is value chain capture. Packaging accounts for nearly 30 to 40% of total value of semiconductor. By doing this in India, the country moves to the value chain. Second, strategic autonomy, which reduces dependencies on East Asian hubs like Taiwan, China, and Malaysia for the final stage of chip production. And third, employment. These units are highly automated but create a massive ecosystem of silicon diplomats and high skilled engineering jobs. Okay. Now, let's discuss our third topic, that is 131st Constitutional Amendment Bill 2026. As you all have gone through this topic, as it is latest news, so let's discuss. The Constitutional 131st Amendment Bill 2026 is a major legislative proposal aims at restructuring India's electoral map and operationalizing women's reservations. It is crucial to note that this bill was defeated in Lok Sabha on April 17, 2026, as it is failed to secure the mandatory two-third majority. Two-third majority is mandatory to pass any bill in Lok Sabha. So, what were the objectives of this bill? First, Lok Sabha expansion, increasing the number of seats to reflect the current population. Second, delimitation reforms, means unfreezing the 1971 census benchmark and using more recent data. And third objective was women's reservation, that is accelerating the implementation of the 33% quota for women in parliament and state assemblies. Then what are the key features and proposals? First, increasing house strength. How? Proposed strength increase the maximum number of Lok Sabha members from 550 to 850. Second, seat distribution 815 seats for states and 35 for union territories. The impact on Council of Minister under Article 75. The Council of Minister cannot exceed 15% of Lok Sabha strength, and increase to 850 would have allowed up to 127 ministers from 81. That means there will be the increase in the Council of Ministers from 81 to 127. Okay, if it has been increased to 550 to 850. Second, delimitations and census benchmark. First, unfreezing seats. The bill sought to remove the freeze on seats allocation currently, which is held at 1971 census level until 2026, established by the 84th Amendment Act 2001. Use of 2011 census if proposed using the 2011 census for immediate delimitation rather than waiting for the first census conducted after 2026. And proportionality was that reverted to the principles of one person, one vote, and one value, ensuring constituencies across all states have roughly equal population. Next, third objective was, key proposal was women's reservation in terms of Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. The 106th Amendment 2023 linked the start of women's reservation to the post 2026 delimitations. The 131 bill sought to delink this requirement to allow for the 33% quota to be implemented in the 2027 general elections using the 2011 census data. Then, what is the reason behind the failure of this bill? The bill received 298 votes in favor and 230 against, falling short of required 352 votes, that is two-thirds of the 528 members present. Why? What are the major reasons? First, federal imbalance. The southern states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala feared a significant loss of political voice since they successfully controlled the population growth. A population proportionate expansion would disproportionately benefit high growth northern states like UP and BR. First reason was federal imbalance. Second reason is linkage concern. The opposition demanded that women's reservation be implemented immediately without being tied to the redrawing of the electoral map. That is, without doing delimitation, the women's reservation be implemented immediately. Second was linkage concern, and third is demographic penalty, where critics argues that the state following national population control policy should not be finalized with fewer parliamentary seats. These are the major three reasons. First is federal imbalance, linkage concern, second and third is demographic penalty, why this bill has been failed to pass in Lok Sabha. Next, the defeat of 131st Amendment bill highlights the deep-stated tension between demographic representation and federal equity in India. For the bill to succeed in the future, the governments may need to introduce weighted representation or financial incentives for states that lose relative seat shares due to successful population management. Okay. So the analytical takeaways from this discussion is that in terms of constitutional article, the proposed amendment to Article 81, that is related to composition, Article 32 readjustment, and Article 170 for assemblies. Second, in terms of joint sitting power, increase Lok Sabha to 850 while keeping Rajya Sabha at 250, changes the seat ratio from 2.2:1 to 3.3:1, which significantly weaken the upper house influence in joint sitting. Third, delimitation commission. The bill would have empowered a new commission to redraw boundaries using 15 years old data, that is 2011 census, which was major point of contention. Okay, so I hope This session is helpful for your preparation. Stay tuned to our channel. You will get the latest update related to notification and current based topic discussion, which will be helpful for your preparation journey. If you like this session, please do like, share, and comment. And we will continue this session. And all the best for your preparation. Thank you.